Hello everyone, welcome to yet another exciting episode of TimeXtender Tuesdays. I'm Harish and I'm a solution specialist with TimeXtender. In today's episode, we are going to explore the compatibility of Microsoft Purview with a TimeXtender powered data estate. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the topic. Centralized governance of a data estate has always been a challenge for data teams. An organization needs to have answers for few key questions on their data for a better data governance. For example, what data exists within the organization? Who owns the data? Who can access the data? Can we get a data lineage? Are there duplicate data? How to monitor quality of data? How to ensure security and compliance for the data? Where and how the data is stored and archived. In this video, we are going to explore the possibilities on how Purview can be used to govern your data estate built using TimeXtender and get answers for some of the key questions above. Before we get into the details of how it both works together, let's first have a look on what exactly Purview is. Microsoft Purview is a fully managed, unified data governance service that helps you manage and govern your on-premises, multi-cloud, and SaaS data. Simply put, Microsoft Purview can sit on top of any type of storages and give you a centralized view of the data. Purview empowers a better data governance by enabling data discovery, traceability, and searchability. So that's a bird's eye view of what Purview is. You will find a lot of content on Purview on internet and YouTube. So we are not gonna go in detail on what Purview is, but our focus will be on how Purview and TimeXtender can work together to create magic. Now, that brings us to the billion-dollar question of today's episode, which is, can a TimeXtender implementation be integrated with Microsoft Purview? And the answer is an absolute yes. Right. Now, let's see in detail how we can achieve it through analyzing an architectural diagram. As you can see in this architectural diagram, this is a typical implementation of TimeXtender, where you can see the ADF pipelines loading data into the ODX, and from there, using some pipelines, it's being loaded into the MDW storage. On this typical implementation, you can see the Purview is sitting on top of it, looking into each of these databases, which are like the storages of ODX and MDW, as well as looking into the pipelines and understanding the data. Once Purview is configured to access these data storages and pipelines, it will be able to create a data map, data lineage, curate the data, and provide answers for the key questions we discussed about data governance. Now, let's see a live example of Purview configured on a TimeXtender data estate. In this section, let's walk through how to configure a Purview account on top of a TimeXtender data estate. Let's go to your Azure homepage and create a new resource and search for Purview. Okay, let's create a new account here. So select your subscription, then your resource group, then give it a name, Purview demo. Yeah, US3 is fine. Managed. Yeah, just let's go for the basic default version. It's validating now. Okay, validation passed, and let's go ahead and create it. It's going to take a few minutes. Great, now our deployment is complete, and let's go to the resource. Okay, in the Purview resource, you will be able to see here Microsoft Purview governance portal, click on that. That will open up a new tab with the governance portal. Okay, now you can see all the key components of Purview here. Now, first thing what we need to do is go ahead and create the collection here. So let's go ahead and create a new collection, or okay, we'll create a new sub collection here. Okay, and say Purview demo, and I'll assign myself as the admin. Okay, I'll create that. That's done. Now again, inside this sub collection, I'm going to create another sub collection for ODX. It need not be the same way. It's according to how your databases you want to manage. So I'm just going with this convention. So ODX, and I'll name it. I'll assign the admin. Okay, and I'll add one more under Purview demo, which will be the MDW. Again, I add the admin. Okay, awesome. So that's created. Now the next step is, under these collections, we'll be able to add a new data source. The Purview account should be first given access to the databases which it is supposed to govern. Let's see how we can do that in this case. Let's go to main portal, and from there, now our ODX is configured on a data lake. So let's go to the data lake. Inside the data lake, we will have the access control options, where let's add a new role assignment. So I'll go for the contributor access. This is the Purview account which we just created. So I'll select that, and I'm assigning to the contributor access, so that it will be able to, Purview account will be able to access this storage. Okay, so I'll just review and assign. Okay, it's going on and it is added. Now let's go ahead and try to add data lake here. Show data lake Gen 2. Okay, so let's select that and select our subscriptions. Storage account name is HKM data lake, and endpoint, everything else is fine, and I'll go for a register option, which has successfully added that data source. Now, after adding a data source, the next step is creating a scan on that data source. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, so here there is an option of creating a new scan. You can name it however you want it based on how this scan is going to be scheduled. Let's say scan, maybe let's say call it manual run. Okay, and let's leave it on the default settings and try to create one. Yeah, so that connected to my Azure data lake storage, and it's now looking into all the containers, and I'll configure only one of the containers and go ahead with the default options. And here it's asking me for the schedule, and I'm gonna just do it like only on the manual one. Okay, save and run. So this will make sure my data source is configured, and on top of it I'm scheduling a scan, and now Purview is going to go through all the data inside of this data source and give you all the information to govern that. Awesome. The next step in the Purview setup process is adding MDW storages. So for that, first we need to provide access for Purview to the Azure SQL database we are going to use for the MDW. Let's see how we can do that. Let's go to the Azure portal and look for the server where you have configured, and then on the access control, the role assignments, you can add a new role assignment. Let's give it the contributor access. Members, select, and let's search for this one, HKM Purview demo. Okay, that's selected. I'll review and assign. That's done. So we have added that role. Now, one more step we need to do here in the Azure Active Directory. Now, this is configured for another Purview account which I was working with. Now, I will go ahead and add the current Purview account, which is HKM Purview demo. Select, and don't forget to save. Yep, it's done. Awesome. Now let's go back to the Purview portal and try to add the data source. So let's call it Azure subscription, and server name is SQL Server, and let's leave it default settings for the rest and try to register. Awesome. So that has registered a new data source, which is Azure SQL database, and now it's time to try to create a new scan on top of the Azure SQL DB. So I'll name it scan manual, and let's select the DB. Yeah, MDW dev is the DB which I'm using, and rest I'll leave it to the default. I'll just turn off. This is a new feature inside of Purview which is currently in preview, so let's just turn it off and continue. Awesome. So now it's giving me the list of tables which is there in the SQL server. Now I'm going to select everything because that's the complete MDW DB, and rest I'll go with the default option and select the run once option and give it a run. Awesome. We have just one more task to be completed, which is giving access for Purview to the ADF. Let's see how we can do that. Let's go to the home page of Azure portal and then look for the data factories. And this is the list of data factories, and this is the data factory which I am using to copy data from the data lake to the MDW. So for this, let's give the access to the Purview. Click on access control management and then go for role assignments, or just add a new role. Right, so here you can select members and again select the Purview account which we are using now. Purview demo, select review and assign, and that's done. Currently, what you're looking at is a Microsoft Purview account configured on top of a TimeXtender solution. Let's quickly walk through the main components of Purview. So here, first let's start with data map. So data map is the place where you register new data sources into the Purview account. As you can see here, this is the list of data sources which Purview supports out of the box. You can configure those data sources with Purview, and you can create a collection like this. So in this case, as it's a TimeXtender solution, I have created the hierarchy of MDW, ODX, and semantic layer, and you will be able to see that in the map here, right? So I have created these data sources under the right hierarchy. Like under ODX, I have configured the data lake. Under MDW, I have stored the Azure SQL database, so on and so forth. Right. Great. Now let's have a look on the next component, which is data catalog. From the data catalog tab, you'll be able to either browse through the hierarchy which you created before to the objects you want, or you can go ahead in the home tab and search for the objects you are looking for. Now in this case, let's give a search for customer raw table, and you can see all the customer related tables are coming up, and we'll go for the customer raw table. In this view, you will be able to see that Purview was able to identify there is US phone number and US zip codes inside of these tables. Now let's see what more data Purview has captured. Okay, it has all the basic properties of created date, modified date, and all those information. And on the schema, it has all the information of what are the columns, what are the data types, and what are the classifications which it has identified. Now it has identified this is a phone number, and this field is a US zip code, and this field as well is a US zip code. So it's all identifying by itself by scanning the data. Another important feature which is under Lineage is where you'll be able to see the data lineage. Now in this case, let's take the example of customer_R, which is loaded through Azure Data Factory copy activity. You can see Purview has identified that copy activity and has provided all the information related to that. And it has as well identified that the data has started, source is actually from the data lake storage, which you can see here, and the Parquet file details as well is coming up in the pop-up window. In the data catalog tab, you also have the option to view who are the owners of this object, as well as who are assigned as the expert on this data as well. So that's how detailed the information is captured by Purview of any objects it's configured to. In the data map tab, you can also see the default classifications done by Microsoft Purview. You can as well create classification rules from here. You can give it a name and create a new classification. So if you have some custom classifications to be made, that as well is supported by Purview. Awesome. Data Estate Insights tab is one of the key components of Microsoft Purview. You have different types of reports in this tab, which gives you insights about your database objects. Let's quickly have a look on what all we have here. The first one is Data Stewardship Report, where you will be able to see the objects, whether it is curated, how much of it is assigned, how much of it is owned. So based on a few parameters, these objects are classified as curated and partially curated. So that's what you see here. And any of these reports, you'll be able to dig in detail, like by clicking on the view detail and go to the specific object and see what exactly it is. Great. Another key report here is the catalog adoption, where you'll be able to see the objects which are frequently being used in Purview, and as well as the active users and who all are using it. Those information as well will be available at your fingertips using this report. Under the Asset Insights, you'll be able to see reports based on assets classification, asset data ownership, the age of the asset, and what type of the asset it is. So here you can see there's file based. You will be able to identify on a particular day how much of files were of JSON type, which was a Parquet file, all these reports, and in detail you can go here and understand and have a look on what are those files as well from here. right? That's the beauty of Purview. You're also equipped with a classification report where you'll be able to see all the data that is classified by default by Purview, as well as if you have done any manual classification, that as well shows up in here. So you can see US phone number is used in 3 places in our data estate, right? And here as well you can see person's name is used at 84 places. If I click on the detail, I'll be able to see where it has been used. From this report, we'll be able to identify that the person name is being used 2 times in tables and some 84 times in files. Let's have a quick look on where all it has been used. So here, by using Purview, I'm able to identify that person name is stored inside the customers table in our data estate. Another key question which we often get asked is that can one Purview account govern TimeXtender and a non-Microsoft data source simultaneously? The answer is an obvious yes. TimeXtender as well as any other data source can be managed simultaneously with one Purview account. Let's see the architecture of how that can be done. In this architectural diagram, you can see Microsoft Purview, one account is being used to govern the TimeXtender data estate here, as well as another cloud. Here in this case it's an Amazon cloud where Amazon S3 and Amazon Redshift is being governed using the same Microsoft Purview account. So this is how you can configure a same account for a TimeXtender data estate as well as another multi-cloud data storages. Let's have a look on a few key queries which we often get asked regarding Purview and TimeXtender. The first question is when and why to use Purview on TimeXtender. As you already know, TimeXtender enables you to accelerate time to insight by building your data estate in a much faster and a cheaper way. A Purview on top of it will make it better and easier for you to govern your entire data estate. If you are looking for features like classification of data, data lineage, data access management, Purview will be a perfect add-on on top of your TimeXtender implementation. It allows you to have the complete view and control on all the data objects and can take appropriate actions for governance. Another very interesting question which we get asked often is which data lineage to use. Because now if you're using Purview, you're having data lineage inside of Purview as well as data lineage in TimeXtender. So which one to use? So let's get into the details of it. There are 2 major things which you need to keep in mind when thinking of data lineage. One, as of now, Azure Purview doesn't support SSAS or the analysis service as a source. So that means you won't get the end-to-end data lineage across all the layers of TimeXtender if you are using Purview. But TimeXtender out of the box provides you end-to-end data lineage, including the SSAS, including the MDW and the ODX. That's one major difference. And the second difference is Purview is not able to identify the lineage when the logic is stored inside a stored procedure or a view. So what I'm trying to say here is the example of a customer raw table and a customer main table. The relationship is defined inside a stored procedure, and in our use case, Purview was not able to identify that lineage and it was broken. But TimeXtender is able to provide end-to-end lineage in this case as well. Let's have a quick look on the Azure Purview portal on how the data lineage works. So let's go to the data catalog tab and search for customers. Now let's go to the customer table, and here you can see you have all these properties, but data lineage is missing. So what's happening here is Purview is not able to identify from where this table has been populated. Now, if you want to see the customer underscore R, which is the raw table in TimeXtender, there you have the lineage, because that is directly loaded using the Azure pipelines, ADF pipelines. That's what you see here, and there it is able to recognize the data lineage, but on the main table it's not able to recognize. So the lineage in Purview is broken compared to TimeXtender, where you are easily able to get an end-to-end data lineage from the semantic layer till the ODX. So here the answer is you should use TimeXtender data lineage rather than using Purview data lineage. Let's move on to the next question. We are already using Purview for data governance. Can a new TimeXtender implementation be configured in the existing Purview account? Well, the answer is absolutely yes, because a single Purview account can be used to configure multiple data sources, including your TimeXtender one, as well as your other data sources, which can be on a different cloud as well. So it's a yes. That leads us to the final question for today, which is, our data estate is well governed. Do I still need to configure Purview? Well, no, but maybe, because it's based on the scenario. So if you want your data estate to be well governed and managed and have insights on what kind of data you have and who all have access to what data, and you need data classification reports, asset reports, and all those governance related information, TimeXtender with Purview would be a good fit for you. Few important links on what is Purview and how you can configure a Purview account on a data source, and the quick start videos. Those links are provided in this slide. We'll give these links on the description as well. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments or directly on our TimeXtender support system. Thank you for watching TimeXtender Tuesday.